Powell to the people, where civility is always in style. And boy, we're really glad that you've joined us today. And guess what? I've got my best friend, Superintendent of Schools, Jim Yovino, is going to be with us, and he's going to share some really great things that are going on and some of the challenges that he has faced in the last year and a half, 2 years with COVID and all of the things going on with schools. But we've got a lot of exciting things taking place as well. Just wanted to remind people that we're also on Spotify. So if you go to Powell to the People and you can check out every broadcast that we've had, you can also go to Good News with Larry Powell on Spotify, and you can check out all the good news stories. So we got a lot of stuff taking place, and it's a wonderful opportunity for you to hear a little bit of what's taking place in Fresno, because we cover just a little bit of everything. We cover politics, we cover religion, we cover schools and education, we cover sports, which Jim and I both like, and we'll talk maybe a little bit about his golf game, but we're going to have some fun. We're also going to talk about Halo Cafe. You're going to hear something about a really amazing nonprofit that he and his wife Jennifer has started, and it's been going on now for a number of years. But also want to remind you that you can catch Good News with Larry Powell, nothing but good news, and that's Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. right here on KXEX 1550 a.m. Well, hey, let's get started. Jim, welcome.
Yes.
Love to have you on board.
Yes, this is going to be fun.
It is. You and I have been friends for in excess of 20 years.
Yes.
We've worked together over the years, and just it's been my delight, I'll tell you, because we seem to be so simpatico. You know?
Yes. Yeah, very similar and opposite in many ways.
Yeah.
But, we're just, how can anyone not love you, Larry?
Oh.
I mean, you've got a heart to lead, and you're such a great mentor and a teacher to so many. And I mean, I'm often reminded of all the things you tell me when I'm doing my work every day. I've got this little person on the side of my shoulder talking into my ear saying, okay, now.
Well, we got the commercial out of the way. Thank you, Jim. You and I have known each other for a long time, but one of the stories that I like most about you, you're Fresno County Superintendent of Schools.
Yes.
You've been in education for almost 30 years, so you've been doing a lot of things. But before you got into education,
Sure.
you were working on a building across the street from the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools building. You got to tell that story, because it's a great story and inspirational in a lot of ways. But tell us what was going on.
Yeah, well, for many years when I graduated from high school and I went to college, and I try to use this today when I'm talking to students. How do you really know what you want to do? And I was one of those kids that I wasn't sure. So I opened up my own mobile high pressure washing steam cleaning business. They used to call me Steamos. So and I actually one day I was washing the aluminum awnings over at the courthouse.
All those little squares.
Those little squares, Larry. And they put me up like on the 8th floor and put me in a little forklift, and I got up to the top of that floor, and that was the defining moment in my life when I said, okay, I am not going to be doing this forever. But as I looked back across the street at the County Office of Education, I mean, it's pretty amazing today as I look out my window at it.
Isn't that something? You think about this. We have a lot of kids who are told to go to college. They're told to go to trade school. They're told to go to work, whatever their choice is. Yeah. But there are a whole lot of things that are happening. You and I have both experienced work experience ourselves. I worked for my dad at the turkey plant, Swift and Company, where, we processed 26,000 turkeys a day, and I was tucking them into that butterball look, so that they would look really good for Thanksgiving. Well, it was working there. I decided to go to college and make sure that I was going to do something else with my life than tuck turkeys.
Right. And that's the whole emphasis. I've said that since day one, being county superintendent, how it's really important. The word we think of when we think of college, the C word, I think of another word. I think the C word meaning career. Yeah. And if you're going to go to college, you should go with a purpose. And the purpose is at the end game to get a job, be employed, take care of your family. And for a lot of us, as we go through high school, I mean, we don't have an opportunity to experience so many things, and so that's why we really encourage young students to get involved into programs,
Yep.
volunteer and see. The worst thing you want to do is spend 6 years in college and then you finish and you're like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really like this.
Yeah, what am I going to do with this
Right.
degree?
That's for sure.
I know. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about career education and some of the things. I know you've made it a really good focus for a lot of kids who
Sure.
are fantastic kids, and college may not be the thing for them. You and I both love it when kids go to college.
Sure.
But we also know there are other pathways as well. But I want to talk a little bit about us and about a little of our history.
Yeah.
We worked together at Central Unified, and that was a really great moment for us. We had what I consider to be a dream team. We
Yes.
worked together there, and I know that you also went to Central High School.
Sure did.
So tell me what you did when you were at Central. What sports, things like that.
I graduated. I went all elementary school through high school, Central Unified, went to Madison Elementary, went to Central, the only Central
Yes.
West campus.
Way
And
out on 180.
oh God, it was way out there, but it didn't seem way out there except in the morning like today, driving in the fog.
Boy, and it was foggy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But no, I was involved in football, basketball, mainly basketball is where I really had a good time with out at Central, and I actually ended up, Larry, it's a funny thing, you go through that, you go to college and you come back, and then I really started my coaching career in Central, coaching football, and did that for several years, which really was as I said earlier, how do you know what you want to do?
Yeah, exactly.
And the minute I started coaching, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. It was that simple. And I went to college for a couple of years out of high school, wasn't sure, started coaching, and then about 5 years later, I went back to college and completed my degree. And from there, I've worked in a few districts, and I've loved every one of them. Every experience has been a great one.
And you and I had the same experience. I coached wrestling, and once you get a relationship going with kids, and you got a chance to change the trajectory of their life where they're going to end up, it's absolutely. I mean, it's alluring. It draws you in. You just know you can make a difference for a kid.
Oh, yes, you can. And I'll tell you, I that's the best part of the job. And, and I tell people this all the time. There is no job better than being a teacher. I know, that our teachers are facing a lot right now and dealing with a lot with the way they're having to teach. But at the end of the day, the outcome of this is, hey, we're going to change the life of that child. And we know we can.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kept me coming back every day. And I've been doing, like you said, it's over 30 years now, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. There were some great athletes that came out of Central.
Oh, yes. I had several of them, that played in the NFL, played, and not only the NFL, Major League Baseball. I mean, these kids were all on my football team, and it's great. You get all the accolades, you're winning, and you're doing all of these things. I mean, seriously, it comes down to players, and you can be a great coach, but you need great athletes. And Central had great athletes, Tommy Goodwin, Courtney Griffin.
In fact, Tommy was just in town speaking at an event 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's great.
And Courtney.
Yes.
I mean, amazing when you think about it.
Yeah. These just, and they're great athletes, but they're better than that. They're just good people. They're caring. They as great as an athlete as they are, they're a much better man. And that's the part about them that I'm so proud of. And I mean, there's so many of them that the list can go on. And in fact, I just saw I went to Courtney's son's football game, Pop Warner game or 8th grade game. And it was great to sit up in the stands with him and 5 or 6 of the other players that played for Central. It was pretty exciting.
I love it. COVID, and we're going to talk a little bit about how COVID has affected schools, but you lost your parents early in life.
Yes.
And you ended up with some stand-in parents.
Oh yeah,
that have became really good friends of mine, but were amazing in your life. Tell me just a little. Who were they?
And as you said, Larry, I think I was 12 when my mom was diagnosed with scleroderma, and then I really watched her deteriorate over the next several years. And we lost her and my dad about a year later. And I had two neighbors across the street from me, Dr. Noel and Gloria Smith, African American community members that, Doc, I remember the day Doc walked in and he said, he knew what was going on with my mom.
Sure.
And he said, hey, Jimmy, don't worry. You'll be our sixth son.
Yeah, I love it.
We'll put our arms around you. And he sure did.
He did.
Gloria did. And, and unfortunately a year ago, back tomorrow, lost Glo and Doc to COVID.
Within 8 days of each other.
Yes. Yeah, it was devastating. But, I've talked to many people about, God, that's horrible. You lost your parents when you were young. And, and I said, yes, it was devastating. But I think it's for folks who are losing people and they've been in your life for, 80, 90 years. That's not easy either. And I can tell you, I think of Doc and Glo every day. I learned so much from him, from a young man that came from Trinidad with not a dime in his pocket, but went to Washington D.C., drove cab, graduated from Howard University, became a doctor, and then decided I'm going to come back. I'm going to work in West Fresno, and he stayed in West Fresno and served that community.
And you know what? He was an icon in that community, and probably, I don't know, maybe everybody over there at one time or another went to him as a doctor. I mean,
I think he delivered about every baby in West Fresno. He had those pictures, I remember, in his office all over the walls.
Yep.
And what a tremendous man. Learned so much from him. Larry, funny thing, good things about him is he was so brilliant and so bright, but he could talk to anyone.
Exactly.
And he was, there's something about being honest, right? And he was an honest man. And,
no doubt.
And I'll never forget the day he told me, he goes, Jimmy, you're acting like a donkey, right? But the day that he told me that, he also said, I remember it was about a month later, he called me and he goes, you were acting like a donkey, but today you're acting like a thoroughbred. And I love you, son. And, those are the things that just will stay with me forever.
Well, the reason I even brought that story up is that with so many families losing people during COVID and all the craziness, folks have hope. Look for those opportunities for somebody to come into your life, to change your life, to be there during those tough times. Because, boy, what we've gone through with the loss, and especially for those of us in education, when you lose a kid, when a kid loses a family member, it affects everything about them. You know what? We're going to talk more about this when we get back. We're going to take a break right now, but you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down. On the best talk in town.
Hey,
here's Larry Powell.
Welcome back. We're glad to have you back at Powell to the People. And we're with Jim Yovino, Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, my best friend. And boy, we've
nice to hear.
We've had a great time together. We've been talking about just a little bit about his history and some of the things that we've shared together over the years. But we've known each other longer than we've been friends. It's kind of interesting because we met at a job fair, but eventually ended up working together.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's really neat. But we've been talking about Doc Smith and his impact on your life, his impact on my life, and just seeing someone of his character was an amazing thing. He loves his community, and he's no longer with us, but he loved his community. He loved his family. He loved you. He loved me. And it's just fun to think about his legacy. It was pretty amazing.
It was. I talk to young men and women all the time, and it's just, I want to be able to do what Doc did for me. just like you've done to so many, Larry. It's easy to be kind, and it's easy to be compassionate. It's easy to care about someone. It's not as hard as I think people make it out to be. I think it's more work to be angry and mean and hateful. I mean, I'd rather be a person who's gonna be one that's talking about love, and love is important. Our kids need it. And,
Absolutely.
I've just had that. That's what I've had around me my whole life, and it's what's made me who I am today.
Yeah, it's neat. Well, talking about that, Doc was an African American, very proud of his heritage. But you've started something, a Black Student Advisory Group.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I started about 7 years ago. I started a African American student cabinet. So I have a group of African American kids that come and meet with me in my office, every other month. And then we also have another group. It's called Ujima, and it's about servant leadership. It's about, if you really want to change, the outcomes, and you're not happy with something, or you don't agree with it, well, how do you do that?
Yep.
And I always tell them, if you go in a room screaming and yelling and stomping your fists, I said, look, people are going to listen to you for about 30 seconds.
That's right.
And that's about it. But how do you really impact, the world we live in? And you all have that power.
Yes.
You just don't understand how to do it. And so we spend a lot of time about, putting service before self in our office, and we do a lot of training with kids. But that cabinet has been just influential.
These are bright kids too, and with great insight.
I always tell people, I wish people could see what I see every day. When I talk to kids and they're in my office, I just sit, and I think you taught me this, Larry, a long time ago. God gave us 2 ears and a mouth for one reason. Shut up, Jim, and listen.
Listen a lot.
And if you listen to kids, if you really listen to them and you want to take the time, you'll really learn a lot. I mean, they have a lot of value, and they're incredible. This cabinet group. In fact, every year in February, we put on a big conference downtown at the convention center. This year we're going to do it virtually. But for our African American community and kids, and we want our students to understand that they can be anything they want. They can dream big, and we're there to show them that way.
Our job is to help them get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that cabinet is near and dear to my heart.
I know it is, and it's amazing to watch those kids come from all schools all over the place in Fresno County, and they bring insights that you and I can't quite come up with. And they can lead us to some solutions through what they have to say, so that we do some better things for our communities.
Absolutely. And Larry, what they've done is they bring ideas, and then the goal is to have the superintendents of those districts, so Clovis Central, Sanger, Fresno Unified, Washington Unified, those superintendents are right alongside with me with the journey with these students, and so that they can go back to the schools and share ideas. And
it's great.
And nothing but good has come out of it. I can tell you.
I love it. That's fantastic. It was quite a wonderful thing you did that helps say to the community, we care about you, but we also want to hear from you. And boy, the kids are speaking up, and they're speaking out, and it's some good things that are taking place. Well, you also have another thing, and I think it's probably on hold right now, but you had a cafe that you started.
Oh, yes.
For our special ed students.
Sure. It's open again, and
good.
It's
good.
It's Kids Cafe, and
Kids Cafe.
I would say it was on the Fulton Mall, but there is no mall anymore, so it's on Fulton Street. It's right behind our building, and we at the office of the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, we serve some of the most medically fragile students in Fresno County. In fact, we have about 2,000 students from districts, but we have 3 of our own comprehensive sites that serve children up to the age 22. So those are our adult transition students, and it's great to have them. We're trying to provide life skills for them so that they can maybe live independent someday. But it's also about training them to maybe enter the workforce.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the idea in our office was, well, let's open a cafe downtown and have our 18 to 22-year-olds be in the restaurant, preparing food, serving And it's been as great as it's been for our special needs kids.
Yeah.
Larry, it's been better for the community.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
How they've responded
Oh.
to seeing this happen?
Yes, because what's happened is a lot of us are just not feel easy or comfortable around children with special needs.
Right.
And these are folks that come in every day. And I can tell you, if you're having a bad day, go to Kids Cafe, because there won't be a student in there that won't have a smile on their face when they greet you at the door.
Yes.
And we're reopened now. We're open when we have students.
Yep.
But we're also open to the general public, and the food's good too. How about that?
That's a good combination.
Yes.
Well, you and my listeners know that I had polio in 1949, so I've always had an affinity for kids that are struggling in life and face some tough challenges that others don't. But the thing that has impressed me most about them is almost all of them find a way to overcome whatever terrible situation they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And they really inspire you. And this is what's happening with this opportunity for them to meet the public, learn a skill, become successful, and to realize that people can interact with them. And I tell people all the time, if you see me limp, it's okay. I know I limp. You know, it's not like a surprise to me. So you can feel free to ask me, hey, what happened, Larry? You know, and
That's right.
if you're walking with a kid down the hallway and we see each other and that kid wants to know what's going on, I'm going to tell him.
Yes, and Larry, I mean, I think of Jamie, a young lady that worked there, and she was working the cash register. You know, they're not called cash registers anymore, but
Yeah.
anyway,
We get it.
And she, when she started, her head was down. She would never look up. She didn't, she was just very, shy and worried about what people would think of her.
Sure.
Oh my gosh! If I wish we took pictures of her day one and
The
then
before and after.
Oh my gosh, she lit up the world. You walked in smiling,
I love
happy, hi. They want to know everyone's name, and they're very capable of doing the work. We just
Yes.
need our community, our restaurant folks to step up and say, hey, we'd be happy to take them, but also understand that you are taking a child that does have some special needs, and
Right.
and it's going to require a little bit of TLC when
Yeah.
you bring them on
And
board.
patience.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know what? You get a good worker and you get someone who's always there.
Absolutely.
That's another interesting thing with that whole thing. So you got your Black Student Advisory Committee, you got Kids Cafe,
Mhm.
you got a lot of really good things going, but you've started, we're going to talk a lot more about it at the next segment, but you started a charter school
Yes.
that is, I think, one of your
Woohoo!
babies, one of your,
Mhm.
and it's an amazing thing. Where is it? What
Yes.
got you to do it? And then maybe a little bit about Marvin Myers.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, the school is located right across the railroad tracks from San Joaquin Memorial.
So right in central
So
Fresno.
right in the middle of downtown Fresno. It is it's a dual enrollment high school. So to all the listeners, if you have children who are in high school, look at the dual enrollment offerings that they have. I'm not talking about advanced placement classes. I'm
Yep.
talking about if you take an English class that is a dual enrollment class from a college, when your son or daughter completes that coursework, they receive that college credit.
Yes.
Well, this school was all designed around being dual enrollment. The idea was that when students entered as freshmen, that when they graduated this is our first graduating class this year, so we've been open, this is our 4th year.
So you got seniors now.
I have seniors, they're graduating.
Oh, man.
So they will graduate, in fact, 91%, and there isn't a school anywhere that can say this, 91% of our kids who entered CTEC as freshmen will graduate from Fresno City College a week before they graduate from high school.
Wow.
Yeah, that's unheard of. I get goosebumps just talking
Just got
about
me
it.
goosebumps too.
But also to the listeners to understand, this is also not a full dual enrollment school. It's also a school that focuses on commercial manufacturing and construction.
High tech.
High tech. Oh my gosh, engineers coming out of there. The partners that we have, the business partners who have just been right alongside us, saying that, look, we need folks in the industry, and a lot of our kids, I mean, they're there. Maybe they do not want to get into construction or manufacturing, but I'll tell you what, they walk away with skills that others will not have. And
Amazing.
And guess what? They love being there. So, they come to school every day and they're eager to learn.
How many kids?
Well, we have about almost 300 now.
Wow.
So, we're going to keep the school small. It's going to stay around that
sense.
300 range. Just think about every teacher that teaches there, whether it's English, math, science, the focus is on the manufacturing and construction. So
Right.
it's the way I learned. I mean, I had to be able to see it and understand it. I mean, geometry was just geometry until, I was in my shop class.
Yes.
Well, now the teachers make the connection from whatever they're teaching back to industry.
And you have some high-tech machines there too.
We do. Thank you to, Marvin Myers and Tish Myers, the Myers family. Marvin is just another tremendous giver in this community who we
so
lost.
Blessed with Marvin.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes.
I sat down with him with the idea of building this school, and this shop alone, just the equipment that's we don't call it a shop.
Right.
It's called an innovation
Center.
And this innovation center, Marvin wrote a check, for more than $1 million so that we could have all of the things that we needed for our students in that school. He's another one of those people in my life I miss so much, and just talking with him, Larry, every day about life.
I want to talk a little more
Yes.
about him. We're going
Sure.
to take a break here, but I want to talk a little more about Marvin, great
Yes.
guy,
Yes.
and about the school, because, folks, you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down. People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We've been talking with Superintendent of Schools, Jim Yovino, Fresno County Superintendent, and we've been talking about CTEC, which is
Yes.
one of the pet projects that you had. It was your idea. You came up with it. You went out and sought the money necessary to make it happen. You got 300 kids involved in it.
Yes.
It's an amazing opportunity for a kid to graduate from high school and junior college pretty much at the same time.
Absolutely. And
so
we've got that. We're going to have our first graduation ceremony this year. We're looking forward to it. We'll be partnering with, I almost said President Goldsmith at Fresno City College, but actually Chancellor Carol Goldsmith.
Yes.
And our kids will be walking on stage with the college graduates, and we're really excited. Anyone who's interested in CTEC, if you just go to our webpage, go to ctec.fcoe.org. We do enroll freshmen. It's really hard not to. You
got to start early.
You got to start early because all of the things kind of scaffold on top of each other and what
right.
you need. So, but if you're interested in the school, we do have some spots available for freshmen for next year. And I think go online, look at it. I mean, you'll be shocked that.
Well, it's a state-of-the-art facility.
It is, and I don't even know if you know this, but we're putting up a $6 million multi-purpose room right now on the back of the campus.
Wow.
So that we'll have the ability to do some things indoors with our kids, and also we have a nice stage area in there. And again, our focus is on manufacturing and construction. We have our competitions. I mean, we don't have full athletics
Sure.
like other high schools may have, but our kids compete in robotic engineering competitions, welding competitions. That's
amazing.
There's something else for them to do. And let me just back on this really quick. This because in our office we've hosted college night
Yes.
for 5,000 to 7,000 college students every year, and that's really where this came from.
Yes.
Is that okay? That's great. We have 150 colleges here, but what about the kid or the parent who's there and their son or daughter wants to go to trade school? What about if they want to go into construction or manufacturing?
Right.
So we also started the Careertech Expo. So the Careertech Expo is a big event that we hold every year with close to 200 different businesses.
Is that at City College?
That now is
Or is it-
actually at Chachansey Park,
Okay.
and I think this year we're moving it to the fairgrounds because
Okay.
it's gotten so big
I love it.
that we we have the same amount of interest from parents and families, and we want kids to hear that there are multiple options.
Exactly.
But having that degree is really important in understanding. But you can get that degree in the area that you're very interested in, and construction and manufacturing is a great. We need people in our community.
We can't get enough workers in those areas, and so when you create the interest early, you've got, man, our folks out there looking for people are just jumping up and down, going hooray.
That's right. I think I stole that story from you about the guy who fixed your. What did you used to tell me about the guy who fixed your refrigerator?
I know a guy came in to fix a refrigerator, and it took about 3 minutes on one part, and I said, how much was it? He said $3 for the part, 97 for knowing where to put it.
That's right. That's about right.
Yeah, and you know what? I love it when I see someone who not only has the technical skill but has the people skills, because that's all part of this whole thing, is learning how to get along and that kind of thing. So I know you're doing some things in there too.
I'm so glad that you said that, Larry, because really this school was designed around those two areas, but it also, the focus was to teach them how to speak publicly,
Yes.
how to communicate with people. It's really important. You can be, I have 1,500 employees in my office. I tell them the same thing. I interview every one of them, talk to them at the end of it. And the last thing I always say to them is about, you may be bright, you may be brilliant, you may be all of these things, but can you get along with people? Can you communicate? Can you be kind to each other? I mean, there's a little plaque over my head when I'm talking to people, and it says one thing. It just simply says, if you work really hard and you're kind, good things will happen.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, one of my taglines is where civility is always, in style, because we've lost a degree of civility in our society, and we have to be able to talk to each other. And I'm so glad you're doing that with our kids, because if they can grow up with a skill and an ability in a certain area and something they like, and then they learn how to do it well with people around them and develop relationships, that's a winning formula.
Absolutely.
So it's really exciting to see where they're going. So once again, that website is
ctec.fcoe.org, and or just call 265-3000 and say you'd really like to get in touch with CTEC. The director there, Principal John Delano, he'll take you and your child on a tour of the campus, and I guarantee you, they'll be careful, because if you go there, you're not going to leave. You're going to want to stay.
You definitely are going to want to be there, no doubt about that. Well, there are so many good things taking place, and I'm just glad we've got an opportunity to do that. But one of the challenges you've had for the last 2 years almost now, well, March will be 2 years, is COVID.
Yes.
And I know that everybody seems to have an idea of what's best when it comes to COVID. And we hear a lot of experts, and we hear experts on one side, experts on the other side. But the reality is it's here, and it's affecting us, and it's affecting our kids, and it's affecting everything that we do. Tell me a little bit about, I know that you met virtually on Zoom once a week for 18 months?
Yeah, we still are. In fact, we have calls every Wednesday.
Yeah.
It started right after, it was March 13th. I think we held a press conference in our office.
It was my birthday. That's why I remember that. March 13th. Yes.
Well, happy birthday. There you go. But on March 13th, we gathered in my office to have a press conference just to talk about, the closure of schools and, and what we didn't know, because at that time, compared to what we know today,
right.
I mean, we have a lot more information.
It was going to be 2 weeks, maybe 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were anticipating it was going to be quick, but we now know that as people begin to explain to me that about this new normal, I keep saying, stop saying new normal. It's just normal.
It is.
And normal means that we need to find a way, because every day, every child should be in every seat in Fresno County. We know that.
You still have to educate.
We do.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of our schools and what they've been able to do. This year, I mean, we've kept schools open. There's been, sometimes we have to close a classroom because of multiple classrooms exposures. But that we do that, we pivot, we come back to school, and we're back to learning. Has it been challenging? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does it affect the morale of staff and families? And yes, we know that. But since March of 2020, Larry, I've had phone calls with. There's 32 superintendents. There's 32 districts in Fresno County.
Right.
But there's also 28 charters in Fresno County.
Which is like a district.
It is a district. Those are public schools, everyone. They're free public schools to any child.
Yeah.
And then there's about 13 or 15 faith-based private schools.
Yep.
So as a county superintendent, I don't really have any authority over faith-based or private schools. But those are children. And when I took this job as county superintendent, it wasn't about some kids. It was all kids.
Yeah.
And so we quickly
and you
realized.
invited those folks to
yes.
these Zoom meetings as well, so they would be as well informed as everybody else, because they are our kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they were all invited. So now we have about 80 people on a call, and that's with public health, or it could be California Department of Public Health. It could be with our local hospital CEOs. Just to give them the latest information,
Yeah.
but also an opportunity, a safe place for superintendents to talk. And I'll tell you what it's done. And we talk about the horrific things or all of the inconvenience of COVID, and
Yep.
but let's talk about some of the silver linings and blessings. And that's happened as a result of these phone calls. Our county, our schools are closer than they've ever been.
Yes.
One idea in one district doesn't make it theirs. They should be sharing those ideas. And I'll tell you, they share with each other. They share resources. We have districts in Fresno County with almost 75,000 students, and I have districts in Fresno County with 50 students.
Right.
Well, the level of the amount of people power that you have in a larger district, Superintendent Nelson, that he can share with others, or our smalls have things they can share that our bigs don't have.
Yeah.
And I think of Big Creek, Pine Ridge, Sierra Unified, and the things that they do. They can do something a little bit differently, but we can still learn from that.
Absolutely.
And that's what's happened on those calls. Public health, I think sometimes they get a bad rap. They have been right alongside of us and have been great communicators to our schools.
We want to continue this conversation, especially about the Zoom calls and things and what you've done. We're going to take a break here and just be right back with our last segment. Boy, the time flies, Jim, and you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
Jose, how much time do we have left?
Should I make it shorter for
Yeah.
the two? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sometimes I was talking to this game. It was like, oh my God. My ears were busting. I can imagine someone in their car going,
I love it.
oh, there's so much to talk about.
Oh, I know.
I'm just,
I want to hit a little bit about recruiting teachers.
yeah, recruiting teachers, and like to just end with Halo.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
say something about Halo.
That's
so,
on my list here.
I just want to encourage folks to call our office to sign up.
Good.
On the best talk in town, here's Larry Powell.
Hey, welcome back. We're with Jim Yovino, Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. And Jim, I'll tell you what, this hour has gone by really fast. We got about 8 minutes left, and we got about 9 subjects to cover. So
Well, yeah, I wish this, when I go to the dentist, I wish it would go by this fast.
I hear you. Well, maybe one of those kids at your tech school will be a dentist.
That's right. You never know.
Well, we've been talking about what you've had to do over the last 2 years to try to keep everybody informed. You've got the health services. You've got Todd Sonterpak from, Children's Hospital. I mean, you've gotten experts to come in to give us the latest information possible to help us know what to share even with our parents at the schools and those kinds of things to give them the best insight. And one thing I really liked that you had to say was our goal was to keep kids in classes. We know that's best for them. That, distance learning is hard, very hard, but you've done a lot to make that happen in a really tough circumstance.
I'm so proud of the superintendents and boards across Fresno County to be able to do that, and they all feel the same way.
Yep.
I mean, we know that students belong in a classroom. In fact, Larry, one of our programs, All for Youth, we've placed a mental health clinician in every school in Fresno County. We're in year 5 of a 5-year build out.
Yeah, people don't know you're running mental health for kids in Fresno County.
Well, it's with our partnership with the Fresno County Department of Behavioral Health. But we've partnered with the County of Fresno to hire. So these are employees of our office.
That's great.
We're in year 4. The last 2 years didn't help in our 5-year build out. And so now we've got to refocus and get that going back so that we want kids to feel safe in schools and parents to know they have a place to go.
And we know that this COVID has created isolation, has created all kinds of family struggles and things. So having that service available to kids is pretty remarkable. Well,
it is.
Really appreciate what you've done with that. But there's another issue that's really big, and that's teachers and subs.
Oh, my.
Fresno Unified, I know, has had as many as 100 subs a day needed.
Yes.
Because of the COVID outbreaks and stuff. Classes have had to been closed for short periods of time. We have protocols changed, so we're now 5 days on a delay. But tell me a little bit about recruiting teachers.
Yes. So, I'll say this. Please come down to our office on Van Ness and Fresno Street, to our credentials department, and ask about how you can be a substitute in Fresno County schools. The process will start with us. We can help you get there.
For any school in Fresno County.
In Fresno County.
Yeah.
And not only a teacher, Larry, but we need paraeducators, classroom aides. I mean, you can come down. We can show you how to do that. If you're retired, if you're doing volunteer work, how about volunteering in a school for 6 hours a day and get paid almost $18 an hour? So we can do that for you.
Not bad.
So we need you. We need you right now. Our teachers need you desperately. We need a larger pool of substitutes.
I've even seen teachers on Facebook asking for someone to come in and sub for them.
Yes. And I mean, it's, right now we've had, more cases because of the Omicron variant that you're out for 5 days. Well, we have to have someone in the room. If you don't have people, it's not even about community spread in the classes anymore. Now it's about, do we have the actual people to be in the room so that your child can be in the classroom?
And what qualifies them to be a teacher now for this emergency time?
Sure. So if you come down to our office, I mean, some of it is the degree you may have or not have. But if you don't have a bachelor's degree, then you will be eligible to be a paraeducator in a classroom.
Right.
So don't think, oh, I'm not qualified. Right now the governor has signed some executive orders giving us a lot more flexibility with hiring substitute teachers to be in the classroom, particularly during this time and the variant and how it's.
So if you got a bachelor's degree and you've got a heart for kids, we've got something through the Fresno County
And you don't
office.
even need a bachelor's degree. You need 90 units. So, I mean, sometimes you don't even, here's what I would suggest. If you're interested in being a substitute, call 265-3000, ask for the credentialing department at the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools office. They'll put you through to them. They'll tell you exactly what you need. Or you can email Tannen Pafford. How about T Pafford, PAFFORD @FCOE, and he will respond to you. We need substitute teachers.
Absolutely.
And we need paras. We have them in our, in there, and they cover every area. It could be from special ed to Careertech ed programs. But again, please think about that and consider that we need your help, Fresno.
We need folks who care about kids, have a degree or 90 units, and we can get you set up for that. We're running out of time, but I want to cover something that your wife Jennifer started called Halo Cafe. So we got Kids Cafe, now we got Halo Cafe. Tell us a little bit about Halo.
Well, Halo Cafe is a pet food pantry. So about almost 10 years ago.
It's been 10 years?
It's been 10 years.
Wow.
We were volunteering at the Valley Animal Center where we have our 2 rescue dogs. And we saw people surrendering pets, Larry. They were losing their jobs. If you recall, 10 years ago, the financial crisis and things hit, and families
Really tough.
they wanted their dogs to go to a shelter where they would be adopted. And many were dropping them off just because they couldn't buy a bag of dog food.
Right.
So at that point, we decided to open up our pet food pantry for those who've lost their jobs, for the elderly, the homeless, those who may be buying medication or choosing not to buy medication and buying dog food. So
Yes.
we give out between 50 to 60,000 pounds of food a year now. We have,
Wow.
it's all volunteer run. It is you talk about blessings.
Yes.
Every day. People who do not have a thing, but their compassion and love, not only for humanity, but for their pet.
And that love back from the animal to them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, to the community thinks, oh, people just come and they take. No, people come, take, and give back.
Wow.
So let me tell you, we've had many who have been there and were struggling financially, then got back on their feet and came and then donated money back so that we can buy additional dog and cat food. We also, partner with others to get free spay neutering services. We have vet services that come in. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Jennifer, my wife, you talk about an angel. There are angels on earth, and she's one of them. And every day she is.
Yeah. Her passion
she's doing
for dogs is just remarkable.
Yeah, well, we have a few.
Yes. Well, Jim, we've run out of time. We're down here from. You're looking at Black Student Advisory Committee to council. You got a Kids Cafe, C-Tech. Your need for teachers. What you've been doing to maneuver through COVID. Pretty remarkable, folks. I got to tell you that the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools office has taken on head-on the challenge to make sure our kids get the best education possible and find the resources during a really, really tough time. So if you can help us out, we really need teachers. We need para-educators. We need folks to step up. Come down to the county office down there. We've got a place for you. Jim Yovino, Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. It's been great having you with us. Folks, you've been listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. Remember, we love you. We expect good things in our community because we got a lot of good people doing them. Jim, you're one of them. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Larry. Love you.
Yeah, appreciate it.